Hey everybody, it's Prez, Lawrence Presman, and Andrew is sick, so it is my privilege in a purple shirt to talk to Dave Cokin. We're clashing today, Dave. You're wearing pink, I'm wearing purple, but it's going to be a fun show, man. I know nothing about Korean baseball.
Well, based on my results last week, I don't know anything about it either. I had a bad week. Sports betting is so weird because I ended up having a winning week overall, despite the fact that I really had a terrible week in KBO. The reason, Colin Morikawa. I made 4 outright plays. They were all, of course, at WagerTalk. And Morikawa, anywhere from 33 to 1, 36 to 1, wins it. One of my other outrights was Justin Thomas, by the way. So of the 4 outrights, 2 of them ended up in the playoff. It was a no-lose situation. And you get a score like that, it ends up being a winning week after all. But I was not happy with my KBO last week and intend to do a lot better this time around.
Yeah, but I mean, you've been rolling, and Andrew as well, since the start of the Korean baseball. And
Well,
I mean, that's really a testament to how you guys are just so in tune with really how to win, how to find winners. Not a sport you've studied over your lifetime, but you know
no.
baseball and you know gambling, and it just goes to show. It's like in the stock market, you get a feel for things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. But right now, it's trying to get that feeling back, and we've got the usual 5-game slate. Something to
Yeah.
point out, by the way, because of the rainouts that took place this weekend, there were no games played on Sunday. They did try and start one, which was crazy, and that got called in like the second inning. And then there were 3 more rainouts yesterday. So you've got some odd-looking setups, and there is an advantage for the teams that didn't have to play yesterday. So that would be Doosan, KT, Samsung, and the NC Dinos. They have a little bit of a built-in advantage going in because quite frankly, their bullpens are going to be more rested. And in this league, that is really important because the bullpens in KBO are absolutely atrocious. For those who are new to it, it's not very high-quality baseball. It's somewhere between, I'd say, high A and double A on the Major League organizational scale. A lot of bad defense, not a lot of good arms. And you have to going in. You're going to have to know that there's going to be some crazy stuff in late innings that you're just going to have to swallow and accept. Anyway, we got 5 games scheduled for Tuesday, and we'll begin with the Kia Samsung matchup. And Kia coming in hot after sweeping Kiwoom over the weekend. They've won 4 in a row right now and have gotten themselves to 6 games over 500. So things going pretty well for Kia. But one thing to note on them is they've been a much better team at home than they've been on the road. We'll see if that continues. Tonight's matchup, Lee on the mound for the Kia side, and he has not been good. 4 of his last 5 starts have been the wrong way as far as grading them is concerned. His overall numbers are sketchy. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. He does suppress power, so he's got a lot of soft contact, but he's not a guy that I have a lot of faith in. Buchanan on the mound for the Samsung Lions, and we still see this, even though the records, I think it's like 10 games over 500 for the season with foreign pitchers versus Korean pitchers, but we're still seeing the foreign pitchers get overpriced a bit, and the market's starting to react to that. This game opened at 145 with Samsung the favorite. It's now down to 140. Buchanan's in the better form. The Lions are very tough at home, and Kia's numbers on the road not real good. So I guess I'd be looking at the favorite in this game. It looks like it might be a chalky night
Dave.
overall.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at Samsung minus 145. Matt just put in the posting thread. Do you think the Samsung team is a fade right now after the 6?
They lost 4 straight.
Yeah, but clearly you don't. I mean, clearly you're jumping right back on. And
no, I'm not going to bet it. I just lean that way. But that's the big negative here. And it's funny, I mentioned this last week and did not take advantage of it, which is stupid on my part. They had a 6-0 lead going into the late innings on Wednesday, I believe it was. They blew the lead and lost a really tough 7-6 loss. They haven't won a game since. They've lost 4 straight. But I do think maybe the home field and the pitching edge might be the recipe to get them back in the win column here. SK Wyverns taking on Doosan. The Wyverns just lost 2 out of 3 to the even lowlier Hanwha Eagles, the two worst teams in the league. And now the Wyverns have to go on the road and face Doosan. And the Bears are off a loss. They've only lost 2 in a row, 5 times all season. This team has been exceptional off a loss. So that's the side I looked at right away here. It's a matchup of Lees on the mound. I think that SK has the better Lee. And that's the holdup for me in laying the price here because it looks like a spot where you want to play Doosan, much better offense. The Wyverns, they're just a bad baseball team. But they do have an edge on the mound in their Lee, who's had a very good season, whereas the Doosan Lee has been a flop. This guy was one of the better pitchers in the league last season, and he has gone backwards in a big way. He's just having a lousy season. 3-4, 5.83. There's nothing in his numbers that suggests that there's going to be a great regression to the positive side. So I can't lay that much of a price, but I don't want to go against the Wyverns with what amounts to one of their better pitchers on the mound.
Yeah, so you lean on a minus 180, you lean on a minus 145. I have not watched any of these Korean baseball shows, but I do have a question. Me and you do first pitch regularly. You stay away from the run lines. I'm guessing you stay away from run lines in Korean baseball as well?
By and large, because I don't like laying a price with a runs line, and you basically have to do that all the time in this league. I think if you're going to go favorite and go runs line, you're better off creating your own -1 line
Right.
if none is available. It's something I use in Major League Baseball when I like a good-sized favorite, and I wouldn't mind doing it. I don't mind doing it in this league, although I'm not doing it with any games tonight.
Yeah, you're right. Like I'm looking at these run lines now, and I mean it's, the Samsung game is the only one really in the positive, and you're still only getting
Right.
125 on that run line. Look at all.
That's really short compared to what it would be in Major League Baseball. A -140 favorite in Major League Baseball, you're going to be getting plus 145, 150 on the runs line. So you're kind of,
Why do you think that is?
because they know what the market's going to do. The market loves laying the runs line in this league, so the bookmakers have made you pay a premium to do so. I don't blame them. I mean, it's especially early on. It's basically there were no one-run games in this league. Whoever was winning by multi-runs, and people who were just blindly betting the runs lines on the better teams, and they were just cashing on an every night basis. So the odds makers adjusted and made it a little bit tougher.
I just want to say hi to everybody in the posting forum. Some names I haven't seen in a while. And Jacob Martin, I miss Andrew too, brother. He has done such an outstanding job with this, Dave. And, he was the one that really came up with the idea, pushed it. You jumped on, and, a real shout out to Andrew. He's so many of the guys have stepped up so big during this time period. And Anthony Roman, nice to see you, man. And Brent V. Barry, Dan Mayer, Matt. Look at all these names. Rob Cook. A lot of these names I'm not familiar with, which again is a testament to you and Andrew, because these aren't guys that are watching my stuff. Speaking of which, one of the gentlemen said they hadn't seen me since puck time. Yeah, I'm doing soccer right now, but puck time is coming back soon, and first pitch is coming back as well, Dave. I am going to step down from hosting first pitch.
I didn't know that. This is news to me.
Yeah, so I just wanted to let everybody know while they're all here. Teddy and myself are putting together a show called WagerTalk today. That show starts literally 2 weeks from this day. You are going to be one of the guests on that show. That show is 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern every day. We're going to cover all sports for that particular day. And then I'm going to continue doing puck time, and I'm going to continue doing the soccer show. I just don't have the bandwidth in me to do baseball. So Andrew and Dave will be together throughout the Major League Baseball season. They're doing such a wonderful job with this show. So we will keep you guys posted on that, but stay tuned for that.
And you know what? The cool thing about that is, I will actually be able to pronounce some of the names.
Yeah.
I've had some trouble with that in KBO.
Speaking, look, I just want, I go off topic and then I'll hand it back to you. Guys, watch Joe Coy live in Hawaii on Netflix. He does a piece on Koreans, and if you are not crying with laughter, I give up. It is absolutely spectacular. Dave, we've looked at SK versus Doosan. We've looked at Kia versus Samsung. What's up next?
The LG Twins, who have slumped quite a bit recently, and they will be on the road against the Lotte Giants. And this is your, I guess, your marquee pitching matchup is Chad Kelly will go for LG, and Dan Straley, a name very familiar to Major League Baseball fans, will be on the mound for the Giants. Straley is having a great season despite the fact that he's only 2-2. He's been plagued by lack of run support and bullpens blowing up. Otherwise, he'd have a much better record. He's probably been the second or third best pitcher in the league, along with Ruchinski and, of course, Koo. Straley, really spectacular numbers. He did have a couple of starts where he wasn't as sharp, but bounced back from that last time out with 7 1/3 innings of 2-hit baseball. You got to give Straley the edge here, but that's in the price because the Giants are big favorites. But considering the way considering the way LG's played, despite the fact they're starting to get some of their injured guys back, boy, I don't know that you can make a real good case for this team at this point. Their offense has really struggled. It appears as though opposing pitchers have gotten a book on Ramos. Pitch him high heat. He doesn't handle it well. The low stuff, if you make mistakes down in the strike zone, he'll drive it a country mile. But we're kind of starting to see why he was unable to really progress in the Rockies organization. He's got some holes in his swing, and you know that Straley is going to try and exploit those holes. If Ramos isn't hitting, it's tough to imagine the Twins putting together a lot of runs in this game. I think the under 4.5 first 5 is very playable here. It's really tough to pull the trigger on a full game under, even at 9, because of the bullpens and the shoddy defense that has a tendency to show itself in this league. But if I were going to play a total, it would still be the under in this matchup. Straley is certainly a go-with guy in some fashion for the Giants.
Dave, I'm getting 8.5 at Bet365, so clearly
it's down now.
Yeah, clearly there's been a lot of money bet on the under, and it's 8.5 minus 110 as well. So, at the top of the show, we spoke about the bullpens. It's really, for me, looking at these lines for the first time, I mean, the totals 9, 9, 9.5, 8.5, 10.5, 10. I mean, this just looks like Texas is playing the Anaheim.
Yeah. Well, it kind of is because the relievers are just bad. There are very few quality bullpen arms in the league. Even some of the names you recognize, LG's got, there's a few guys scattered around the league who pitched in the majors, but their best days are behind them. And the defense is atrocious. If you've never watched, I know the guys that are watching the show right now follow KBO, so they know what I'm talking about. But the outfielders take the worst routes to baseball. It's like Little League at times. They always break the wrong way on fly balls. It's just really, that's the weakest part of this league is the fundamental defense. I was told this before the season started, was that the better players are almost always in the infield because that's, they're going to be more infield. The guys who can't play defense, you stick them in the outfield. Right. And it shows because, boy, I mean, the outfield play in this league is half the catches that look like great catches are only great catches because the outfielder got a bad jump or broke the wrong way. And it makes difficult catches, or it makes routine catches seem difficult. Anyway, we move on, and we've got the lowly Hanwha Eagles taking on KT, and the Eagles did something they haven't done much this weekend. They won a series. They took 2 out of 3 from the SK Wyverns to bolster their record. They're now 16-43 for the season. They are the Baltimore Orioles of KBO. They have Sofeld on the mound tonight. He's their ace. He's 5-6, which doesn't sound like much of a record, but on a team that's 16-43, it's pretty good, actually. I mean, if you take his games out of there, they're 11-37 in the other games, so they're at least respectable when Sofeld pitches. He will go against Despaigne, who's been back and forth for KT. He's better on 4 days rest than anything else. His last start was okay. His last couple of starts have been okay, but if you go back and do a consensus over the last 8 starts, he's only had 3 quality starts out of the bunch. So Despaigne has not been real good, but he's up against a team that he should be able to handle here. The Eagles have the worst offense in the league. They have no power at all. I mean, they just can't hit the ball
Yeah.
out of the park, and that it's tough to put together big innings when you got nobody who can launch one into the stands. KT's a big favorite here. I can't argue with that. They also have a definite scheduling edge because Hanwha played yesterday, and KT did not. So that's a bit of a plus for them.
Dave, Matt asks, and a totally fair question, especially listening to your analysis on this game. He wants to know, is this the spot to take a run line with KT? He talks about their bullpen being in the bottom five, but with Hanwha struggling to score, is this one of those maybe do a -1 if you're going to play it?
Yeah, I mean you can make a case for that. I mean they should win the ball game. I actually think the better pitcher might be on the Eagles side, but he's not going to pitch 9 innings. In fact, he's probably, he's averaging about 6 innings a start. So you're going to get that Hanwha bullpen in there for 3 innings. Despaigne actually goes deeper into games, and he could very well go into the 7th or 8th inning if he's got good stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I mean I can't argue against taking the Wiz -1. I think there's some sense to be made there.
It's a great name for a team, Dave. KT Wiz.
Wiz. I think it's actually the KT Wiz Suwon, but everybody
Well, you
goes
lost
by
me.
Wiz.
I like the Wiz.
I like the Wiz too.
I think that's an outstanding name. Dan Snyder, Washington Wiz.
No, they want Warrior. I know the name they want is the Warriors. I think from what I gather, there's some trademark issues, but I don't know anything about that, so we'll see. I think they'll find a way to be the Warriors. I mean, I don't know. That's not a bad name. And if they can do as well as the other Warriors team has done over the past few years, I don't think the Washington fans would mind that very much.
Yeah, shout out to Dan Mayer, Rajette, Drew Martin. Thanks for joining, brother. Wait a minute. Washington already has the Wizards. That wouldn't work at all.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
me too, dude. I'm like, it's so funny. I'm so focused on hockey and baseball coming back. We got a UFC card. We got a great UFC show up on Wednesday, so make sure to check that out. You have tons of UFC. I'm not even thinking basketball. It's just not part of my being right now.
Just wanted to mention that I know that some people have proposed the Washington monuments, but that would end up being offensive too because the monuments is a giant phallic symbol, and somebody would probably be pissed off about that.
Yeah, we're not gonna go into that. I mean, I have my fair share of names. I thought Skins was okay, but what do I know, man? Anyway, my friend, 2 games left, 1 game left to go.
Yep.
Dinos.
It's the Dinos, the powerhouse in this league, and you want to see they might have a chip on their shoulder after what happened on 2 days ago. They got their best pitcher slated, Koo. They didn't want to play the game. The rain, it was pouring rain, and for whatever reason, the umpires decided to start the game. So they ended up using Koo for 2 innings. So he's unavailable for a couple of days, and they were pissed. In fact, whoever the correspondent was for Korean baseball that was doing the game on ESPN with the broadcast crew as a guest said, I mean, they're not happy about this. So we'll see if they take out some frustrations tonight. This is a big series. Arguably the 2 best teams in the league, NC and Kiwoom. And we also get the return of Jake Brigham to action tonight for Kiwoom. He's their number 1 starter on paper. He's been out most of the season at an elbow issue. He did pitch in a rehab game, was not real good, but I think the idea there was just to get him through the game healthy. But it's likely he'll be on a pitch count. So I'm thinking maybe, 75 pitches on the outside, which is like 4 innings in this league. That means a lot of work for what is already a tired bullpen. The Kiwoom starters were awful this weekend as they got swept by Kia. And the bullpen's really stretched out now. So if you're looking at 4 to 5 innings for a stretched out bullpen against this Dinos offense, boy, that sounds like a situation where the Dinos are going to put some runs on the board. And the flip side of it is NC starting Lee. His last start was pretty good, but his previous 4 starts weren't. He's not having a very good season. He's a guy who has not lived up to expectations. And it's one of the few guys on this Dinos team that is having a subpar season. I think you're going to get some runs in this game. It's set up for that with a tired bullpen and a starter on a pitch count versus a starter that just isn't pitching very well. I mean, there might be some positive regression with him. He's not as bad as his numbers would look, but I think this is a game. They posted a high total in this game, and I can see why. I think this game has the chances. This has a good chance to be the highest scoring game of the night.
And it's reflected. It's the only 10.5 on the board, and it leans to the over at -125 juice. Dave, let's look at some questions in the posting forum. Guys, right. I'll tell you, Dave, I don't know if you sit inside on YouTube and read this stuff. I am impressed as hell. You guys know your stuff. All of them.
Yeah. Sharp crowd.
I feel like a proud father, and I had nothing to do with this show. So,
well, I think one thing we have seen, and despite the fact that some of us, including myself, had a rough week, the betting market in KBO is, I think, one of the sharpest markets around, because basically the only people betting it because of the time frame that the games are on are people who really follow the league closely and know these teams. So it's been a tough nut for the books to come up with good numbers, and a lot of bettors have taken good advantage of it, including a lot of them who are in this chat room on a regular basis.
I'm absolutely blown away at the talent and knowledge inside of this chat room. Let's get into some questions. Brian Watson says his book has no totals.
Gotta get another book.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's the real easy answer, but is that a norm?
No.
Yeah, so Brian, there's got to be a lot of opportunities out there for you to find KBO totals. So please, and if you listen to Teddy on Betting 101 as well, Brian, he talks ad nauseum about outs. If you guys are going to take this seriously, you cannot have one out.
I have 11.
Yeah, so I have
11 accounts.
I have 7.
That's how I got Morikawa at 36-1 this weekend. Now that was the best number out there that I know of, and that's the whole idea. Is I'm just trying to get the best number, because win or lose, that's going to make a big difference at the end of the year when you do your accounting. It just simply is. You're going to save money on losers. Yeah. You're going to win more on winners.
Yeah, and it's such a fine line. I mean, Gianni pointed out on Straight from the Strip. I mean, if you're looking at 20 plays, the difference between 10-10 and 12-8, it's the difference. It's literally the difference.
Well, if you make 10 bets at -130 that lose, where you could have gotten -120, if they're all $100 bets, over the course of just 10 bets, you'll have saved yourself $100.
Yeah.
I mean, it really adds up.
Drew Martin writes, I believe the KBO markets are not listed pitchers. Do you know definitive?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. I don't know of any play. I could be wrong on this, but at least among the shops that I have, no listed pitchers.
Matt wants to know, when does Addison Russell join the league?
Well, he's arrived. So there's a 2-week quarantine, and I'm assuming they'll give him 4 or 5 games in the minors. So I'm guessing about 2.5 to 3 weeks.
Any other questions, guys? Let us know. Dustin, nice to see your name. He asks, would you do the over 10.5 for the Dinos, or would you look at the Dinos TT?
I want to get that the chance to hit against that Dinos bullpen. I know they had a couple of decent games recently, but it's still been arguably the worst bullpen in the league. So I think I would like the over more than the team total over. Yeah,
that makes sense based on what you were saying. Off topic, Brian Watson wants to know our opinion on the NHL playoff format. You want to go first?
It's the best it can do. I mean, it's such a cluster, you know what.
Dave, I think it has potential to be absolutely epic.
I'm just hoping that they get it done. I know the teams are back at practice, but until they drop the first puck in a real game, we'll just say it ain't over till the fat lady sings the national anthem or whatever. Because there's still some uncertainty out there, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. The weirdest thing is that one of these teams that loses in the opening round is going to end up with the first overall draft pick.
Yeah, which is so strange. Let that be the Leafs if they don't beat Columbus. Harold, nice to see your name, and I'm so glad you do watch some of my shows as well. And please comment. He wants to know, will Andrew be returning? The answer is a definite
Tomorrow.
yes.
Andrew. I don't know. I've talked to him. He's a little under the weather today. I think he probably just had too much excitement this weekend because where is it? Cape Breton. That's one of the most exciting places on earth.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, that's funny, Dave. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But hey, look, he's a young kid and he's living it up, man.
He's having a good.
He's 6'6".
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a tall guy, and Andrew does play-by-play for the hockey team, Dalhousie, up in Nova Scotia. That is really hard to do. Have you ever tried to do that, just watching yourself at home?
No, I've actually done it.
It's tough.
I did some games on kind of a substitute basis. Oh boy, it was back sometime in the early 70s.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
It was easy for me because I knew all the players. I mean, at that age, you're sharp. And I didn't even need a roster in front of me. I could identify every player in the American Hockey League just by their number. But it's not an easy gig. And in hockey, I think hockey's a little easier than most sports because it's nonstop. To me, the best broadcaster in the history of broadcasting is Vin Scully because baseball is the toughest to do, especially by yourself.
Yeah,
he is the most well-prepared broadcaster in sports history. In addition to being just great with that delivery, the amount of information that he would partake, that he would dispense during the course of a broadcast in between pitches was amazing. It was amazing. He is the Hall of Famer of Hall of Famers in the broadcast industry to me.
No, we didn't get a lot of opportunity in Canada to listen to him, but obviously I do know him and I have listened to some of him. A couple of more questions and we'll call it a show. Dave Rajat asks, do you think that Lee won't bleed enough runs by the time the Dinos wake up, usually around the 6th inning?
He hasn't been good, and he's going up against a good offense that's probably happy to be home after a rough weekend. I think you're going to get runs in this game. I think we already discussed it, but the overs. How many times am I going to say and I hate when people do that.
It's a crutch word. Crutch phrase.
I think you're going to get runs tonight in this game. They might come late, but they'll show at some point. I did it again. They'll show at some point. Quick mention, by the way, for those who are already on All Access with me. Hope you enjoyed the golf winner. I know you didn't enjoy the baseball.
You've only mentioned it 7,000 times, but hey, it was 36-1. You should mention it again.
I will have the outrights for the Memorial up tomorrow. I already know of one that I'm definitely playing. There are a couple others I want to do a little more work on, but there's one guy I feel really good about this week, and I'm looking forward to seeing a great tournament. By the way, if you watched that tournament yesterday, the first playoff hole, you might find golf to be the most boring thing of all time, but the first playoff hole yesterday was one of the most exciting dramas I've ever seen. 65-footer by Thomas to apparently win it. And then Morikawa knocks down a 23-footer that didn't look like it was going to go in and snuck in. It was amazing. And Justin Thomas, I only post my outrights at WagerTalk. The idea is to use those guys in matchups as well, but you don't have to buy extra picks. One guy who will definitely not be one of my outrights this week is Justin Thomas. I think he's a fade this week. This is an enormous letdown spot after looking as though he had the tournament won. I think he's a guy you go against this week as good as he is. So there's a golf tip for you.
And guys, if you want to hear more golf, Dave Cokin will be on as our golf analyst, expert, whatever you want to call it, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, the golf show. It will be hosted by Andy Lang, and that show is so much fun, and Andy's incredible. I don't know, Dave, if you check out the NASCAR show on Wednesday. Andy is so good.
Do watch it because I don't follow NASCAR to any extent, but I do enjoy the races, and I like getting some good ideas. That's the beauty of Wager Talks. We got guys who are just amazing in particular
Oh
sports.
yeah.
I mean, how good does it get with Ace on his MMA selections? And he had another huge weekend on the card at Fight Island. Guy is incredible in MMA.
Yeah. Well, and he works. He works for that for the UFC. He does. You guys can see him on Fight Pass. He'll also be on the Wednesday show, Straight from the Strip. I'll be doing that show with him. We'll be discussing UFC, and I certainly know a hell of a lot more about UFC than KBO. Boys, let's call it a show. Dave, this was fun for me, man.
Yeah, it was.
How many minutes notice did I have before I had to get on this show?
I texted Missy actually at first saying, "Hey, Andrew's sick. Can somebody?" Because I'd seen the message on Twitter and also got an email. It's like, can somebody who has the equipment host the show, and I can just do the analysis. I'm glad you stepped in because we got a lot of people who do watch the show and they want to compare their own notes in the chat room with each other, and so I'm glad we were able to do this.
No, me too, brother, and I'm excited to have you on Wager Talk today. Starts in 2 weeks. It's a show Teddy and I will be doing noon to 1 p.m. Eastern every day. Dave, be well. Best of luck on your Korean baseball picks.
I could use some.
And everyone will see you tomorrow, Tuesday, on the Golf Show. I'm Lawrence Presman, and that's it. Thank you, everyone.